about a lot of reasons why we observe Lent, and there really are quite a lot. But I think there are three that come to the surface for me that probably matter more than all the rest. One of them is that people have been observing Lent for, we know for sure, at least 1,500 years, but we believe probably all the way back to the early church. And, one of the things that really matters to me is that as well as making our faith really relevant and understandable for the time that we live in now, we also make sure that we keep a sense of continuity and connection to the history of the faith that we've inherited. Sometimes I think people get quite preoccupied with whether our faith is relevant for now. And then other times we get all tied up with thinking about, are we doing it the way it's always been done? And if you get too much of one of those and lose the balance, then it kind of goes out of kilter. But I think one reason to observe Lent is because it keeps that continuity. And it keeps us in sync with and in tune with the Christian faith that has been evolving and unfolding for 2,000 years. So that's the first reason I think it matters to observe Lent. And then another thing that I think Lent does well for us is it goes hand in hand with the very human need we have for not every day and every week of our life to be exactly the same. In all of life, we have these sort of ups and downs. We have periods of time when we work like crazy and we just seem to do nothing but work because we've got a big project on. Maybe at our employment, or maybe because we're decorating our house, or for some reason or other, you absolutely are full on and it feels like 24/7 and it's all you do. And then there'll be another season when you back right off and you have time to chill a bit and just withdraw and catch up with your energy. And our lives are like that in lots of different ways, that there's an up and a down, there's, we're out there and then we withdraw. And the seasons of the church year give us, again, the chance to do those ups and downs. They put them in place for us so that we don't have to be constantly in one mood or constantly on one theme. And they give us the variation that we need. So that's a second reason. And the third one is kind of connected to the second, in that Lent is supposed to be about preparation. Now, whenever we do something big and important in our lives, we usually prepare for it. Some people prepare at the very last minute. If you're a procrastinator, you put it off until the 11th hour, and then the day before you try and cram everything in. And some people prepare way in advance. But everybody prepares somehow. If you've got exams coming, you review your material. If you're doing an interview, you write up your resume. If you're going to have a baby, you go to the birthing classes. If you're going to buy a house, you go talk to your bank manager. You prepare for whatever you're going to do. So the biggest thing in the church year is Easter. And it makes sense that if we are going to celebrate Easter and have any sense of what it's about and why we're doing it and be ready to do it when it comes, we would prepare for it. So that's a third reason. It's simply the time of preparation to get us ready for the pinnacle of the church seasons. I think the fact that we usually begin Lent by looking at the story of the temptations gives us the opportunity to remember that even Jesus, who, we often speak of Jesus in his divine role or as the Saviour, but even Jesus had these very human moments where he needed to withdraw and call on God to find help and strength to fulfill his ministry and to live his life. And the story of the temptations in the wilderness, of course, is something that in the liturgical traditions always comes at the beginning of Lent. And so that reminds us that just as we have to look for help beyond ourselves, even Jesus had to look for help beyond himself as well. And so, it puts us very much in touch with that sense that we have feet of clay, we live on the earth, we don't live our faith disconnected from everyday life. It's part of life and we can't do it by ourselves. And it also has something to do with bringing us together with community. Perhaps a little less so now than it did in the medieval era, when the whole community used to do exactly the same thing. for Lent. Everybody gave up the same thing. But if you go to church and everybody reads the same stories and everybody knows that it's the season of Lent, then we certainly have the opportunity, if we want to make this a community endeavour. And so we become aware of the fact that we need each other as well as needing God. And of all the religions in the world, Christianity is one that is not an individual religion. It is a religion of community.